There are places on this planet where the most important questions, what's contaminating the water, what disease is living in that cave, what is actually inside that mountain, cannot be answered. Not because science doesn't have the tools, but because someone won't let it in. Today we're going through 10 places on Earth that scientists are completely banned from studying. Let's get into it. In 1942, the British military quietly acquired a small, uninhabited island off the northwest coast of Scotland and did something that would haunt it for decades. They tethered sheep to stakes across the island and detonated bombs filled with weaponized anthrax spores. They wanted to test whether a biological weapon could be deployed from the air. Almost every sheep died. The island was declared contaminated and off limits, not just to the public, but to independent scientists. For over 40 years, it sat there, classified and quarantined. Then, in 1986, a group calling itself the Dark Harvest Commandos broke onto the island, collected contaminated soil, and dumped it outside the government's own chemical weapons facility as a protest. The government panicked, a decontamination effort followed, 280 tons of formaldehyde solution pumped into the ground. In 1990, the island was officially declared safe and sold back to its original owners. But here's the thing, independent scientists have never been allowed to comprehensively verify whether the decontamination actually worked. Anthrax spores can survive for centuries. Gruinard was declared safe by the same institution that contaminated it in the first place, so make of that what you will. On January 17, 1966, a U.S. Air Force B-52 bomber collided with a refueling tanker over southern Spain. The B-52 was carrying 4 hydrogen bombs. All 4 fell onto the village of Palomares and the surrounding farmland. 2 of the bomb's conventional explosives detonated on impact. Not a nuclear explosion, but enough to scatter weapons-grade plutonium across a widespread area of Spanish farmland. The U.S. military cleaned up what it could, removing 1,400 tons of contaminated soil and shipping it to a facility in South Carolina. But Spanish scientists have been fighting ever since to get proper, independent access to test the remaining contamination. Soil samples taken by independent researchers showed plutonium levels in certain areas that the official remediation never addressed. The farmland is still being used, people still live there, and the comprehensive scientific study that would tell you exactly how contaminated it still is has been blocked, delayed, and argued over for 60 years. Kitum Cave sits inside Mount Elgin National Park in western Kenya. Elephants have been visiting it for centuries, mining its walls for salt. It is also, according to the scientific community's best current hypothesis, a natural reservoir for 2 of the most lethal viruses known to humanity, Marburg and Ebola. In 1980, a French engineer visited Kitum Cave. He died of Marburg virus disease 8 days later. In 1987, a Danish boy visited the cave. He died of Marburg. In 1988, the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases sent a team into the cave in full Level 4 biohazard suits to investigate. They found the bats that likely carry the virus. They did not find a way to study the reservoir safely or consistently. There is a city in central Russia that most maps don't show. Until 1995, it was called Arzamas 16. Today, it's called Sarov. It sits behind layers of fences, checkpoints, and restricted zones, and it is where the Soviet Union built its first atomic bomb. The nuclear research facility inside Sarov, known as VNIIEF, is still operational. It is still one of the primary centers of Russia's nuclear weapons development program. Israel has never officially confirmed that it possesses nuclear weapons. It has also never allowed a single independent international inspection of its primary nuclear research facility, the Negev Nuclear Research Center near the city of Dimona in the Israeli desert. Every other nuclear-capable nation on Earth has submitted to at least some form of international oversight, but Israel has not. In 1986, a technician left Israel, contacted a British newspaper, and handed them 57 photographs he had secretly taken inside the facility. The photographs showed an underground weapons production facility with enough plutonium infrastructure to suggest Israel had built somewhere between 100 and 400 nuclear warheads. Israel denied everything. The technician was lured to Rome by a female intelligence operative, drugged, and then smuggled back to Israel on a cargo ship. He was tried in secret and sentenced to 18 years in prison, 11 of which he served in solitary confinement. The last international inspection of the facility was conducted by the United States in 1969. It found nothing, almost certainly because Israel concealed the underground sections from inspectors. To this day, no independent scientist has ever been permitted to study what is actually inside that facility, and the one person who tried spent nearly 2 decades in a cell for it. The name of this island means rebirth in Russian. From 1936 to 1992, the Soviet Union used this island in the Aral Sea as an open-air testing ground for biological weapons. Anthrax, plague, smallpox, brucellosis, tularemia, they tested all of it here, on animals and in weaponized aerosol form. And when the program ended, they buried tons of weaponized anthrax spores in pits across the island. But then the Aral Sea dried up. One of the largest lakes in the world, drained by Soviet irrigation projects, shrank decade by decade until the island was no longer an island at all. It is now a peninsula, the contaminated soil fully connected to the Central Asian mainland. In 2002, a joint American-Kazakhstani team managed to neutralize some of the anthrax burial sites. By their own admission, they could not reach everything. In the 1940s and 1950s, the United States detonated 67 nuclear weapons in the Marshall Islands. When the testing was over, they swept up the radioactive debris, contaminated soil, vaporized equipment, nuclear waste, and dumped it into a bomb crater on Runit Island. And they sealed it under a concrete dome. 80,000 cubic meters of radioactive material capped by a dome 45 centimeters thick, sitting on coral, which is porous. The Marshallese people call it the coffin. In 2024 and 2025, satellite imagery and on-site observations confirmed the dome is cracking. Sea levels are rising, radioactive groundwater is already seeping into the lagoon. The Marshall Islands government has been requesting comprehensive independent scientific assessment for years. The United States position, repeatedly, has been that the dome is stable and the leakage is not significant. The US built it. The US says it's fine. The US will not let anyone else check. Inside a small walled compound in the ancient Ethiopian city of Aksum stands a chapel that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims contains the Ark of the Covenant, the gold-covered chest built to hold the original stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. One monk lives inside the compound permanently. His sole purpose is to guard whatever is kept in the inner sanctum. He is the only person alive who is permitted to enter it. Not the Ethiopian patriarch, not the government, not archaeologists, not journalists. No photographs have ever been taken of the interior. When a monk dies, he chooses his successor and that person takes over. That is how it has worked unbroken for centuries. When Genghis Khan died in 1227, his body was carried back to the mountains of northeastern Mongolia. His funeral escort allegedly killed everyone they encountered along the route to keep it secret. The workers who dug the burial were killed. By some accounts, the soldiers who killed them were also killed. A vast forested region of the mountains, roughly 500 square kilometers, was declared Korig, the Forbidden Zone. Entry was punishable by death, enforced by elite guards for generations. When Mongolia became a Soviet satellite state, the ban continued. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the ban continued. In 2015, the UNESCO World Heritage designation on the surrounding area made the research restrictions even more formal. Genghis Khan conquered more territory than any ruler in recorded history. His empire stretched from China to Eastern Europe, and his tomb almost certainly contains artifacts from across that entire world. For 800 years, every request to find it has received the same answer: No. All right, guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!